Okay, so the news we've all been waiting for is finally here. The X-Men are officially coming to the MCU. But you need to forget whatever triumphant, heroic crossover you were expecting. Because a brand new theory, one that's backed up by a ton of leaks and inside info, suggests their arrival isn't going to be a celebration. It's going to be a straight-up horror story. See, for a while now, all the rumors and leaks have been painting this really strange picture. We're getting descriptions of our favorite heroes, but they look wrecked, utterly exhausted, completely traumatized, like they're carrying the weight of some terrible war we haven't even seen yet. So that begs the real question here. If these are the heroes we've been waiting for, why do they look like they've already lost? For the longest time, everyone just assumed we were getting a classic Avengers versus X-Men storyline. You know, a big hero-on-hero brawl, probably with a villain like Dr. Doom pulling the strings behind the scenes. But this new theory, it completely flips that on its head. This isn't about a simple misunderstanding or a fight. It's about a team of broken survivors who aren't just fighting the Avengers, they're fighting the entire multiverse for their very existence. So let's actually dig into the evidence, shall we? Because everything we're hearing points to us meeting a version of the X-Men that is morally and emotionally compromised in a way we have never, ever seen on screen before. What's really wild is that the descriptions we're getting from the leaks are all shockingly consistent. They don't just say Magneto and Professor X are older, they describe them as looking like they're carrying some immense moral injury. And Cyclops, that is not the face of a hero leading his team into battle. That's the face of a man who has lost everything, probably more than once, in some endless, horrible war just to stay alive. And this is where it gets really weird. One leaked image apparently shows a Sentinel, a giant mutant hunting robot, standing right behind Cyclops. But he's not fighting it. He's totally ignoring it, and he's firing his optic blast at something else. I mean, why would you ignore a giant killer robot? It makes no sense. Unless the real threat is something so much bigger, so much worse. The theory that explains this is, honestly, it's horrifying. Cyclops isn't focused on the Sentinel because, compared to what he's actually doing, the Sentinel's nothing. He's firing his optic blast into the sky, not at a robot, but at another Earth. He is actively participating in the destruction of an entire universe. So how in the world could our heroes, the X-Men, end up doing something so monstrous? Well, the answer comes from a cosmic concept pulled right from the comics, and it explains everything about their tragic state. It's called an incursion. An incursion is pretty much the ultimate multiversal nightmare. Just imagine, two parallel Earths from two totally different universes start drifting towards each other. If they make contact, if they collide, it doesn't just destroy the two planets, it completely annihilates both of their realities. Total, absolute oblivion. And here's the brutal, brutal catch. There's only one way to stop it. To save your universe, you have to destroy the other Earth before it hits yours. It's a horrible, zero-sum game. You either murder a world or you both get erased from existence. There's no third option. Now, just let that sink in for a second. The theory is that this team of X-Men hasn't just faced this impossible choice once. They've been trapped in this cycle again and again and again. They are battle-hardened veterans of a secret universe-killing war. Every single time they won, it meant they personally destroyed an entire world full of people. That is the weight we're seeing on their faces. Okay, so if these X-Men have been fighting this secret war for years, what brings them crashing into our main MCU timeline? What's the final domino that sets their universe and our universe on a collision course? Well, believe it or not, the answer comes from the post-credit scene of The Marvels. Yeah, that moment when Monica Rambeau wakes up in that other reality with Beast and another version of her mom, that wasn't just a fun cameo. That was the inciting incident. That was the spark for the entire multiversal endgame. Remember the rules they set up back in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? They said that a person from one universe leaving a big footprint in another can trigger an incursion, while Monica Rambeau showing up in the X-Men's reality, that's the footprint. Her very presence has now locked their universe and the main MCU universe onto a final catastrophic collision course. The clock is officially ticking. So let's pull back from the story for a second and look at the real-world reason for all of this. Why would Marvel Studios plan such a tragic, horrifying story for these beloved characters? Well, because it's all part of a much, much bigger plan. This right here, this is basically the studio's 3-step plan for a total reboot. First, in a movie like Avengers Doomsday, you burn the entire multiverse to the ground. Then, in Secret Wars, the survivors fight it out to create one new single universe. And once that's all done, Marvel can launch a brand new X-Men franchise from a completely clean slate. At the end of the day, the strategy is pretty simple, really. You have to break everything to rebuild it from the ground up. By making the Fox X-Men into these tragic heroes who are ultimately wiped out, you give them this incredibly heroic, meaningful ending while also clearing the board for a totally new generation of mutants to rise up in the main MCU. And this is where it gets really exciting, because it looks like Marvel isn't even waiting for Secret Wars to be over to start building that future. The seeds for the next generation of mutants are reportedly being planted as we speak. And we're already seeing the pieces fall into place. There are some really strong rumors for the next Spider-Man movie that suggest Sadie Sink has been cast as a young Jean Grey, with another actor playing a classic anti-mutant villain. Putting a foundational X-Men character in a Spider-Man movie is a massive signal that Marvel is integrating these new mutants from the ground up. You know, this also gives us a really clean answer to that question fans have been asking for years. So where have the X-Men been this whole time? Well, the answer is simple. Mutants like Kamala Khan and Namor already exist. They're just not widely known yet. A new Jean Grey would just be a teenager. And Professor X? He just hasn't gotten around to forming the official X-Men team yet in the main MCU. The big public age of mutants is what's about to begin. And this story, it lets Marvel have its cake and eat it too. We get Hugh Jackman as the veteran survivor Wolverine from the doomed universe fighting in Secret Wars. But then, after the reboot, a brand new actor can be introduced as the main MCU's Wolverine. And from a business perspective, it's genius. I mean, one Wolverine prints money. 2 Wolverines, that's a license to mint cash. Can you even imagine the moment those 2 meet? It would be legendary. So yes, the X-Men are coming. But they're not the villains, and they're not the classic heroes we remember. They are tragic survivors, people who have been forced to do monstrous things just to keep breathing. And when their universe finally collides with ours, the real question isn't going to be who will win. It's when you know what they've been through, whose side will you actually be on?